Today in the Chokeslam Wrestling Report, we are going to go through a little bit of what happened at Forbidden Door, and we're going to talk a little bit about the fallout stuff that happened in that event. Also, we're going to be talking about the Omega versus Ospreay 2. Pretty much, Dave Meltzer gave it a 6-star. We're going to see a third match coming up. Plus, we're going to see Money in the Bank coming up tonight. But the main event is not the Bloodline versus the Bloodline versus each other, the Civil War. Is going to be another match. I will be talking about that plus more. So stay tuned for a new episode of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report.
We came out here to tell you to your face, you can't get ready for us. No, sir.
Welcome to another episode of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. I am your host, the infamous Ultimate One, and we are live. We are live, so if any mistakes I make today, it's going to be live. They're watching me, and that's the way it is. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what happened in Forbidden Door and whatnot. And Forbidden Door lived up to the hype that everybody expected, especially me, especially when you got New Japan Pro Wrestling in there involved in this. You're not going to get anything but the best of everything you see. This is, I mean, this show was incredible. I mean, from the beginning of the pre-show where we saw Chaos and Desperado teamed up and go against the Embassy and whatnot. You saw a match between Athena versus Billy Starks at the Owen Hart tournament. This was on the pre-show, and Billy Starks pretty much showed me that she has evolved a lot, because the last time I saw her at AEW, she got her butt whipped real quick. I forgot who she wrestled, but it was like real quick. It was kind of a squash match, but this match between her and Athena, the Ring of Honor, pretty much world women's champion, she gave a run for the money, but Athena ended up winning that match. We saw if Phantasmo show up at AEW. I mean, is he done with New Japan? I don't know, but he came in Forbidden Door and had a match with Stu Grayson, who is Canadian, who's not part of Ring of Honor. Of course, Phantasmo won that match. That was good. The United Empire teamed up together versus LIJ. That looked like a regular New Japan match. The pay-per-view itself. Of course, we saw Tanahashi versus MJF. You know the results of that. MJF ended up winning that by using, his ring against Tanahashi. We knew that was going to happen. Tanahashi came close to pinning him a couple of times. The CM Punk versus Kojima. CM Punk got a lot of boos in Canada. He was getting a lot of boos in Collision. He got a lot of boos in Canada. A lot of people were with Kojima. By one point, Kojima elbow drop from the top rope on CM Punk. It was very low, hit CM Punk growing, and you could tell that Punk was in a lot of pain, but Punk ended up winning that. That was part of the Owen Hart tournament. The AEW International title, that match between Orange Cassidy, Danny Garcia, Zack Sabre Jr., and Shibata. That was a cool match. Of course, Orange Cassidy escaped with the belt after Garcia hit his finishing move on Shibata. And pretty much Orange Cassidy threw Garcia outside the ring and pinned Shibata for that win. So, I mean, I was expecting Garcia to win this match. That didn't happen. So, I guess Daniel Garcia is going to have to wait till he wrestles Shibata at Ring of Honor for the Pure World title. And the Pure Championship, actually, Ring of Honor Pure Championship. So, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, this was very interesting because before this match happened between Sonata versus Jungle Boy, there was reports coming in already that Jungle Boy was going to turn heel. I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago as far as his demeanor, the way he was doing his promos. You could tell that he was going to turn heel. No, there was no ifs, no buts. I already had called it. Well, Sure enough, Sonata versus Jungle Boy. And the messed up part about this whole thing, I think this, like, I guess it was a good way to put it as far as him turning heel, because Sonata beat Jungle Boy with his second best finishing move. His second. Not the first one that he's been using in Japan, that one he used on Okada to win the IWGP belt. He pretty much used his second best finisher, and that was the moonsault from the top rope and pin Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy, in return, while going up the ramp with Hook, turned on Hook, pretty much clothesline Hook. So, I mean, you could tell Taz was pissed off. He walked out. I mean, he didn't do commentating for the rest of the night. I don't know if he was mad or whatever, but it looks like Hook and Jungle Boy will be going at it for the near future, because as you saw Wednesday, Hook pretty much chased Jungle Boy out of the ring after Jungle Boy did a promo, and pretty much, I mean, I don't know where this is gonna go, but I don't know. Pretty much, Jungle Boy said the FTW is not a sanctioned title, so pretty much he made that clear. But he said he's gonna take that away from Hook. I mean, then that didn't make sense to me. The 8-man tag between Ishii, Kingston, actually a 10-man tag, Ishii, Kingston, and the Elite versus the Black Comeback Club, Blackpool Combat Club, and Takeshita. This match was everything that you expected. I mean, it was good. Pretty much, it was a crazy match. I mean, even though Ishii ended up pinning Wheeler Yuta, this is not finished, and it's definitely not finished, because at the end of the day, you know, it's crazy. Somebody just hit me right here. It's almost sure Jungle Boy had his real life girlfriend Anna Jay in his corner going forward. Well, if that's gonna happen, then Jungle Boy's definitely gonna have to join the JAS. I don't see that happening unless Anna Jay leaves the JAS. I mean, they're not really doing nothing, especially now with Ty Conti now pregnant. I don't know where they're gonna go with that. So she can't join the Outcast, because the Outcast is just not a homegrown team. So we could see that happening. I mean, maybe, who knows? I mean, he did mention he got the finest girlfriend in the company. I mean, I don't know why he mentioned that, unless Anna Jay's going to be coming out. Because I mean, that's the new thing now. Real life girlfriends and wives involved in storylines. I mean, we saw that this week with John Moxley and Renee Paquette, where Eddie Kingston and Moxley are arguing back and forth, and she told him, "You need to fix this," to Eddie Kingston. So we never know. We never know. We never know. I mean, the way AEW is, they'll come up with some storyline, and who knows? The AEW Women's Title match, pretty much, Toni Storm escaped again with the belt. With a I-ring and a power driver on Willow Nightingale. This was a good match also. But let me tell you, so Storm escaped. I think 2 Wednesdays ago, from Sky Blue at Chicago, almost lost the belt to her. So you could tell that they're trying to catch up to Toni Storm. She's probably gonna end up losing the belt unless Thunder Rosa comes back and beats her. I mean, I don't know. I will go with that. Then the match that I was waiting for, which was Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. This, I mean, I can't even tell you anything else that I could say. And this was a classic. This had everything. I loved toward the ending when pretty much Ospreay's used the one wing angel on Kenny Omega, and Omega popped out pissed the F off because he used his move. And of course, at the end of the day, even with the outside interference of Don Callis and the damn screwdriver that was stabbing the head, he couldn't pin Kenny Omega. It took him a while to do it, and it wasn't until he did his finishing move that he ended up being, beating up Kenny Omega, actually winning. But now the question is, are we gonna have a Kenny Omega 3 coming up? Now, Ospreay pretty much said overcoming Kenny Omega was the most challenging and yet rewarding task of my life. And he said this or whatnot, and he put this was a tweet he put on the next day. He said Kenny Omega is a once in a lifetime. There will never be anyone that will be able to master the craft the way he has. Overcoming him was legitimately the most challenging and yet rewarding task of my life. While everyone can say they're all elite, you can say you're above elite. So because you can see pretty much Mr. Ospreay, you know, gave Kenny Omega his props, And then there was another story where he said he probably will wrap up doing independent this year. He said on this was in the scrum. He said my whole thing with performing not just in Japan, in England, United States, France, Canada, Italy, Spain, Germany, anywhere. The term best in the world is thrown around almost religiously in any type of promotion. I don't allocate myself to one place. I think truly be the best in the world. You test yourself in every company position. You go anywhere, everywhere. That's how you find and discover new talent. I always have saying of pay it forward. I'm very passionate about the British wrestling scene. They got hit real hard from the pandemic, and I took it upon myself to try to get it back how it was. I still don't think the job is done in England yet, but I do feel like my time is coming up, especially doing all the independence. My body's starting to break down, and I think it's time for me to be a little more sensible and probably will wrap up doing the independent this year. So there you go. He may not be around in the independent scene no more. So I guess, guys, if you didn't see this guy live in these independent shows, let me tell you, it's crazy. But um, it's something think about. In his post match promo on their Twitter page, Ospreay commented on his win after Callis noted that the champion might have to go to the hospital due to the cut on his head. He also teased having a rubber match with Omega. England, Ireland, France, Italy, Spain, America, Japan. Just name someone, anyone. I'm the last world beat of this generation. Ain't no one doing it like me. I am the best in the world. And tonight, prove irrelevant, Kenny. Anytime you want to settle this for the tiebreaker. And this is what I'm saying. Are they going to have, another match and all out? Or all in, I'm sorry. And all in England at the Wimbledon Stadium coming up in August. I mean, I could see it happening. It could happen again for the third time, but my question is, who knows? You know what I'm saying? I said the third match will be at All In because number one is in England, where Ospreay originally lives at, and to kill the rubber match, you do what you do best, and that is beat Omega again for the second time, and that's it. It's like you giving the what we call passing the torch, because he's going to be in Japan. He's the best wrestler right now in Japan besides Okada, and that's not questionable after what happened on Sunday. So I could see Omega passing the torch to Will Ospreay, because Ospreay was supposed to be the one who filled in Kenny Omega's shoes when he left Japan in 2019 and whatnot. And I think he did fill his shoes, but the whole thing about the young bucks will not to happen in Japan, Omega leaving Japan, but we'll see. And talking about Japan, the biggest shock of the night to me, as far as Forbidden Door, was the fact that Okada tapped out to Bryan Danielson, especially with Bryan Danielson with a broken form. He broke his form in the match when Okada did the elbow drop, and he didn't move his arm a certain way, and he cracked. And still, Mr. Danielson went and ended up making him tap using his bad arm with the forearm crack and beat. So now, is Okada considered the best in the world? The best in the world? Well, after this loss to Bryan Danielson, you could say that Bryan Danielson is the best wrestler in the world right now. And I know I'm going to get a lot of, oh, no, Roman Reigns. And we're not going to go there with the Roman Reigns thing, because we know that when it comes to the Roman Reigns things, that shirt he had yesterday at SmackDown, the only one, fits perfectly for him. because he's the only one who's a world champion has not defended the WWE undisputed title for 90 days. Back in the days when the territories were around and all that, if you did not defend the belt in 30 days, they would strip you off the belt. But we're talking about WWE, so they, what else can you say? So, speaking of WWE, let's talk about Money in the Bank. Man, Money in the Bank is tonight, and I went through the card and I saw the card. It's not a very interesting card. Okay, I already know who's gonna win the men's Money in the Bank match. Okay, and that's gonna be Logan Paul. I'm seeing it. If LA Knight wins, I'll be very, very surprised, because then I'm going to ask the question, why did you bring Logan Paul in? Because you need star power? Okay? Logan Paul shouldn't be nowhere near a wrestling ring. Not because he can't wrestle, because he could wrestle. Okay, but the WWE way, of course, we know that. But if he doesn't, if he doesn't win the Money in the Bank, then what's the point of him being there? You know what I'm saying? I mean, last night you saw him getting involved in between a three-way between LA Knight, Escobar, and who else was the other one? I forgot who was the other one. It was a three-way, and he got involved. And I think Pete Dunne. I'm sorry, Pete Dunne. So he got involved in this match and whatnot, and he got bumped a couple of times. Pete Dunne went up to the ladder, held the damn briefcase, but we know for sure there's going to be Logan Paul, and Logan Paul is going to get another shot at Seth Rollins, or he's going to try to pin Seth Rollins and take the belt. And if this man wins the world title from Seth Rollins, then that belt is worthless. I am sorry to say it, because, first of all, this man should not have that belt around him, especially Logan Paul. That'd be a joke. I think if that happens, anybody who thinks that this is real cool is out of his mind. So, also, the main event is not going to be the Civil War between the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. The main event for Money in the Bank is, you're gonna believe this, is Dominic Mysterio versus Cody Rhodes. All because we all know that Brock Lesnar is going to come out and interfere in this match and cost Cody Rhodes the match. Therefore, putting Dominic Mysterio to win this match, push him, make him a bigger heel now. I don't know how much bigger he's going to be. He's already hot heat heel and whatnot. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So I don't know. I don't know this whole thing about, all this nonsense, but it's crazy. It's crazy because I don't know. And talking about Logan Paul, there was reports that Triple H don't want Logan Paul to win the Money in the Bank. So, but he's in the hands of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is going to do whatever he wants. And right now, Logan Paul is not one of Triple H's favorite. And Triple H does not, Nick Khan and Triple H does not want Logan Paul to win the Money in the Bank. But is Vince McMahon really going to listen? He's not. He's not going to listen. We all know that. So, also, there is a report here between Sergeant Slaughter talks Lacey Evans using the Cobra Clutch. Doesn't watch SmackDown much more because of her. So Sergeant Slaughter discussed Lacey Evans using a Cobra Clutch, and the latest version of Evans' character leans heavily into her background as a Marine. And she has heavily borrowed Sergeant Slaughter. She has also been using the legend signature move, the Cobra Clutch. Evans Wayne came to the ring with an interesting look on June 2nd episode of WWE SmackDown, as she was wearing the hat that was reminiscent of Slaughter's attire. The WWE's Legends daughters criticized Evans for the outfit, and she called Lacey a poser. And Evans and Slaughter's daughter subsequently went back and forth on social media. And of course, I just had to say something. He said, I don't watch it as much as I did because I'm a little upset. I watch more Raw because SmackDown has Lacey on it, and I don't want. And it doesn't upset me because I know she can't put a Cobra Clutch on like I do. But it's just the thought that she's using a move without. At least I would think the writer or somebody will call me up and say, "Hey, you mind if we use the Cobra Clutch?" Or maybe call it something else. DiBiase brought it in, and when I was gone with G.I. Joe, he used it as the $1 million dream. She could have maybe come up with another name, but just to call it the Cobra Clutch, I had to end up using the Camel Clutch when I came back because DiBiase was using my hole. So I asked Khrushchev, I said, "Is it okay I use your move?" "Oh, yes, it would be an honor for you to use that." That's the way the business was. You respected your talent and your people that you work with. I would never use it unless he will have said, "Yes, go ahead, use it," because he's the one that made it famous. And he's talking about Crossroad, and he's talking about Iron Sheik. So that's WWE for you. That's what they do. They go and they would, they don't care about the legends. They don't care about their past. It's that shows you right there, the whole nine. Um, so that was the story. So a little bit of more news here. Uh, Eric Bischoff. I was surprised he was blown away with Will Ospreay match with Kenny Omega at AEW New Japan Forbidden Door. Who wouldn't? I'm surprised that he actually liked it. You know, Shingo Takagi was disappointed to be on the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door pre-show. Oh, you know why? You was in the pay-per-view last year. Now things are different. AEW is gonna have Grand Slam again this year in New York. It's gonna be in September 20th. So that's gonna be cool. Billy Corgan, the NWA owner or guy who runs it, says regarding Tyrus, says NWA roster has never been stronger. This guy is delusional. He said, and at the speaking on the Steve Full Wrestling News.co, Corgan clarified what he meant by those comments. The comments that we're talking about was if you wasn't a wrestler, you don't like NWA, you're not a wrestling fan. He said, I gave a clarification to what I said. I'm not going to say I didn't say what I said, but the quote I said being Band-Aid, but which was something along the line of like, if you don't like Tyrus, you don't like wrestling. Whether that was bastardized or that actually came out of my mouth, but it was again in relation of something. So I'll clarify what I was trying to say. So maybe that's a better way to cross the bridge. What I was saying was, if you don't like Tyrus in wrestling me because of his politics and because it brings he into wrestling, then I don't understand what wrestling that you're after. Well, Mister, I'm not even going to read the whole thing because to me, it's just this guy's a clown. Uh, we're not talking about we don't like Tyrus because of his political beliefs. We don't like Tyrus because he's not world champion material. You took the belt away from Nick Aldis, okay? Put it on Trevor Murdoch, who's not another guy who's not NWA worthy, straw world champion worthy. And then you go and give to Matt Cardona. Cardona is not able to win it. Then Tyrus wins it. Tyrus was a clown in WWE. This guy was a dancing. He was a Mick Carter. You know what I'm saying? Does he have wrestling moves? Yes, he does a wrestling, but he doesn't have the character for being a world champion. Okay, so there you go. So Billy Corgan, this is why NWA doesn't have a TV station yet. This is why NWA is still doing YouTube videos because this guy don't know how to run a show. He's still stuck in the 80s. He still think that he could actually run a promotion and they're gonna run it as the 80s style. He doesn't like whatever's going on now. That's why the only company that's probably dealing with you right now, maybe Impact, maybe MLW. I don't know. Uh, sad news to report. Darren Dross Drossoff, who used to be as Dross back in the day, teamed up with the Road Warriors toward the ending of the careers of the Road Warriors in the Attitude Era, passed away at the age of 54. It was announced yesterday. And Droz, was part of the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom at that time. And he was a heel. But his career ended because of D'Lo Brown. I guess he did a sit-down power bomb. He landed wrong. And that was the end. He was paralyzed. He was in a wheelchair for years. And it's sad. This guy was only 54 years old, died, which is not something you want to hear. It's crazy, but it's sad. But may he rest in peace, and blessings to his family. The second ever episode of AEW Collision dipped below 600 viewers, and people are making a big thing out of it. Again, like I said, this is Collision. This is a Saturday show. They're gonna have a lot of stuff going on. Like, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be watching the Money in the Bank replay today around the same time. So they might get worse tonight. But tonight they're gonna have the supposedly the Owen Hart uh, tournament matches. So that's gonna be different. And again, you're gonna see a dip. You're gonna see a dip. They went from 800 something thousand the week before on their debut, not to 600,000. Which again, you gotta expect it. You cannot expect a million, and these fans got to stop this thinking they're going to get a million views every week. They're not. AEW is not going to get a million when it comes to like on a Saturday show or on a Friday show. It's Wednesday, they could get it. I mean, this week's Dynamite, we saw Sting lose a teeth. I don't know why Sting is dies from the ladder. You could tell he hit his mouth, and he hit his mouth. The camera went away. And why there was two tables to just do a move on the table on Sammy Guevara? I don't understand it. So, and I think Dynamite dipped this week too because of that. I mean, the show wasn't that great this week, but it is what it is. But that is it for me from today, guys. Again, follow me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also follow me on my audio podcast. This will be in the audio podcast, guys. If you can't not listen or watch the YouTube video or the Facebook video, you can listen another way, and that is the audio podcast platform. I'm available on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and any other audio platforms that you guys like to listen to your show. You can go and check it out, and show me some love and whatnot. Shout out to Slovakia, who I don't know how, but they're listening to my audio podcast out there. So that's cool. Again, if you guys liked what you see, leave your comments. Let me know what you think about this video. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. That is the most important thing, so you know when I got a new upload coming up. Also, check out my YouTube. Not the YouTube channel. The podcast store. That's TCWR dot veryInkpressive.com. That's TCWR dot veryInkpressive.com. You guys could see in that website, or you go join the website, you're going to be able to see the audio podcast in there, the logo. You're going to see the YouTube channel link. You're going to see the all my the shirts, the hats, the sweaters. Check it out. And you want to get a gift for somebody, you get the shirts, the hats in there, and you can check it out. So find it out. Also, I am doing a I started a best tag team of wrestling history tournament going on right now. Yesterday or 2 nights ago, I put a match that it was the Dr. Depp, Steve Williams, and Terry Gordy versus the world's greatest tag team, which was Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, for the first round. And people voted Gordy and Williams to win that match. So today I had the Road Warriors and whatnot versus Perry Saturn and John Cronin's The Eliminators. So that's on my Twitter. So you can vote there and let me know who you think will win the match if that was to happen. It was to ever happen. I mean, I'm doing fantasy booking, and at the end of the whole tournament, I'll let you know who won it. But right now on Twitter, you can check that out. On Instagram, of course, you guys can go check it out. Follow me on Instagram, the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. Or you can follow me on Facebook. I got the group page there. You can follow me there. I'm everywhere, so you guys can check it out. Again, follow me on the audio podcast. Follow me on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel, and I will appreciate it. And whatnot. And thanks for those people who were online checking me out, whatnot, and and doing my thing. So until then, guys, I will see you guys very, very soon. So with more news next week. Until then, Top Guy out.